Hey guys, it's Jalapeno here with another episode of Jalapeno Drywall. And on today's project, we're going to be patching up this hole here in the basement. First thing you got to do, as always, plastic. This is just going to make cleanup super easy. That way you don't have a big old mess at the end. Next, you're going to have to remove the old screws that were there. That way they're not going to be in the way when we put up the new piece of drywall. After you do that, just go ahead and get your tape measure and measure out the drywall. I'm actually going to have to cut two pieces here, one for the hole and then another one for the bottom plate. Just be careful not to cut yourself with the utility blade. Oh, and look, I'm using a drywall rasp to make the drywall a little bit smoother. And I'm also going to use some drywall clips as backing. You can also use a 2x4 as backing, or you could cut up to the next stud. I personally find that these little clips help out quite a bit, just in case you don't have any wood backing, or maybe you just don't want to cut up to the next stud. And as you can see, those little tabs, once you bend them, they break off pretty easily. Those little drywall clips do come in handy if you're ever doing any drywall repair, so I do recommend them. Look, this is kind of how they look behind the drywall. This side of the wall is part of the unfinished area in the basement, so I was able to see those clips. But anyways, now that the drywall is secure, it's time to pre-fill with a little bit of Easy Sand 5, or a lot of people call it hot mud. I like to mix it to where it's the consistency of like sour cream, if that makes any sense. And all you're trying to do here on this step is just to make sure that you pre-fill the seams. This is going to help not get any air bubbles, because that's the last thing you want, some air bubbles. And don't forget to cover up the screw holes as well. And after all that's done, it's time for the mesh tape. I know there's a lot of people that like to use the fiberfuse or just regular paper tape, but me personally, I like using the mesh tape. Honestly, you could just use whatever you want or what you have. They kind of just all work the same if you ask me. Let me know in the comments which one you like to use. Okay, now the next step is to mix up a little bit more Easy Sand. But instead of using the Easy Sand 5, I'm going to be using the Easy Sand 20. This is just going to help give me a little bit more time to play with the mud before it starts getting too hard. They also have an Easy Sand 45, so if you're a beginner, I strongly recommend you get that one. And as you saw there, I was using my 12-inch blade to apply the mud at first. But to smooth everything out, I'm just going to use this level 5 24-inch blade. I call it the Spicy Pepper. You don't necessarily need the 24-inch blade, but I like it because it does make it super smooth and it doesn't leave it too bumpy. Oh, and look, one of my favorite things about the hot mud is that once you let it set for a little bit, you don't necessarily need to sand it down. You could just wipe it down with your blade. Just make sure it's super flat and not bumpy. And once everything's set, make sure you wipe down the edge. That way you're not going to be able to see it once you shoot the texture. I'm going to be using this Easy Pro texture system to apply the knockdown texture. I know there's a lot of people that have flat walls, no texture. So if you're one of those people, just let it dry, sand it down, and paint it. But if you do have knockdown texture on the wall, after you shoot the texture, just make sure you let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before you knock it down. And I know there's different knockdown tools, but I really like to use that magic trowel to knock it down. And you can get any of the tools or materials I used here in this video. Just go to the link in my bio, go to my Amazon storefront, and click on Drywall Repair Essentials. They are affiliate links, so it's a good way to help support the channel. But anyways, after we knock it down, it's time for cleanup. Look at that, super clean. And if you want to see how I painted the drywall repair and put up the baseboard, just like and share the video. Jalapeno Solutions. Boom!